Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Disco Pants podcast. I'm Connor Bromley. This is James Copley from the Sunderland Echo, and we've had two different experiences. I've been in the away end,
You have?
watching the game with the masses, and James been sat nice and comfy in the press area. But yeah, it was a game that Sunderland were very comfortable in. Won 5-1.
5-1 in the end, yeah.
5-1 in the end. The first half probably will take the bulk of the conversation, and then second half it happened.
It did. I thought it was interesting. Obviously, Chris Rigg played centrally, did quite well, got his goal. Treog Sui, I thought, had a good game up front. I thought Enzo Lefebvre was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's just a really good footballer. Timur Tutierov on the left-hand side as well. Interesting, actually, because I was told that he was set to leave the club in the summer. That doesn't appear to be happening, given that he started the game. I've always really liked him. I've maintained that he's a really, really good player. Obviously, he did well, affected the game.
Goal and assist, I think.
Goal and an assist, so he did really, really well. I thought it was interesting that Chris Rigg started centre midfield.
Yeah.
I've written about that on the Sunderland Echo website. Where does his future lie in terms of this Sunderland team? I thought there were loads of analysis points. From the press box's perspective, I was really buoyed by those Melker Elborg chants. I just thought they were absolutely. I thought that is he becoming like a cult hero now in Sunderland? So I absolutely love that.
For him, after we conceded the goal, they started chanting for him again because obviously it was Simon Moore in there.
But yeah, I think that there are a lot of positives, especially in that first half. You know, the young lads come on in the second half. They keep the game to 1-1. They concede, but then they go up the other end. I thought that, there was a lot of good stuff played. I like Felix Scott. I like him a lot. Shame about Hjelde getting that injury. That's a bit gutting on the first game of pre-season. But I mean, what was it like from your perspective?
I thought the first half was really good. Sunderland, I thought, were pretty much in control. I think York had maybe one spell in the first half, a couple of crosses, or nine headed one over his own bar. But I thought there were some things that we could learn from it. Chris Rigg playing that deeper central role, because if that's what they want to do with him, then that maybe negates this Xhaka conversation about who's going to be his successor. If they think that Chris Rigg can play deeper, they're happy to play him as an 8, then I think that could maybe work. But I also thought having him and Lefebvre together as a 2 with Alan Brown, who was obviously sitting a little bit deeper, just gives them a bit of license to go up and down together. So I quite like that.
That's interesting to me, the Alan Brown conversation/question, because albeit against League 2 opposition, I thought he looked really, really tidy. I think he knits the ball together really well. He's obviously been really unlucky in his Sunderland career where he was just never fit. So when we got promoted, it was, he was always going to move on. He went on loan to Middlesbrough. He's actually a player that I quite like, and I looked this up during the game, but he doesn't qualify as homegrown because he came to Preston North End just slightly late. And I did wonder.
From Ireland.
Yeah, I did wonder if, had he come from Ireland to Preston North End at the right time, whether he could have qualified. But I thought in terms of his fitness, I thought he's taken a sort of a step forward, and I thought he was decent. I don't think he's going to be in the start 11, the first game of the Premier League when Sunderland play Ipswich, but I thought it was a reasonable performance, and I thought it was really interesting. Alan Brown's obviously expected to leave this summer, so is Anthony Patterson.
Patterson not in the squad.
Alan Brown was involved. Anthony Patterson wasn't, and I just find these little quirks of pre-season. We have to qualify everything that we're saying with it's just pre-season.
Yeah.
So Chris Rigg's probably not going to become a world beater from midfield, although we hope he does. Alan Brown's not going to start for Sunderland in the Premier League, but I thought he did well. It was great to see Aji Alese back in the second half as well. Jensen Seelt as well. These are good, talented players. Probably don't have a future at Sunderland, if we're being honest, but it was nice to see them take a step forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think Alan Brown's an interesting one. I personally don't think he's quite of the level, and I think that in the Premier League, that is, I think that he needs to find a permanent home somewhere. I think he's got a year left in his contract, so he needs to get a move. It keeps him in the shop window, it keeps him ticking over.
I think what you saw with Alan Brown is that he's excellent when he's sort of keeping the ball ticking over, little short passes. But when it comes to the final ball, I just don't think he's of the level that you require.
No, I would agree with that.
And I think that was the problem with him. Well, not necessarily the problem, but I think that's why he was playing for Middlesbrough last season and not Sunderland's first team.
Yeah, and to be fair, Middlesbrough, they don't seem like they want to bring him back in.
No.
Does he fit into what Hellberg's wanting to do there? It's an interesting one, but I think he definitely could get a move to
there'll be
top-end championship.
There will be championship clubs queuing up to go and get Alan Brown. I thought it was revealing that he played. I thought when he was included in the first team sheet, I thought, respect to him for making himself available. Yeah. There's all sorts of things going on with people behind the scenes. Perhaps it suggests that a move isn't close, that there hasn't been the necessarily interest. Perhaps with Anthony Patterson, it suggests that actually there's live deals ongoing, and that's why he hasn't played today.
There's also interesting points with the forward line, because my guess was going to be that Geragousin was going to start the main, because obviously the team was split in two. The first half we had the first team squad. The second half was obviously a mix of fringe players maybe that might be leaving. But I thought it was interesting that it was Ogunsui that was given the number 9 for the game, and it wasn't Geragousin, because I presume because they spent so long trying to get Geragousin to sign that new deal, I thought that maybe he would get the start spot.
I never thought that. I thought if there's a pecking order, and I think Geragousin for how good he is and how highly rated he is, Geragousin's always going to be behind Ogunsui because he's just that couple of years above him.
What about Abdullahi though?
Abdullahi played for South Shields earlier today. That is interesting, very interesting. I did notice that. But Ogunsui at this stage of his career, I think, is just a little bit of a level above Finn Geragousin. And I actually think you saw that. There's a different piece to that as well where, Ogunsui I thought did really well, but he's ultimately playing with, by and large, Sunderland's first team.
Yeah.
Other than the World Cup lads. Whereas you saw Geragousin, he's playing in a team where there are a lot of young lads and he didn't necessarily stand out, and I don't think that's to discredit him. I just think that's the sort of reality. Whereas Ogunsui was popping the ball off, Enzo Lefebvre.
He held that ball. There was one thing he did. He looked like Brian Brobby.
He did, but Enzo Lefebvre got a disallowed goal from an Ogunsui assist. But when you've got Enzo Lefebvre playing in the 10 behind you, you're going to look good. Yeah. And Enzo Lefebvre looked absolutely fantastic today. But Ogunsui is such a highly rated talent, and I'm excited for his season. If he doesn't go out on loan and he stays at Sunderland, I think he's got a good chance of playing in European games, maybe off the bench, certainly forming part of the squad. Listen, nothing will be decided today. No. It's a fitness exercise. We are probably reaching with our analysis here, but it's good to do it. You can pick up little bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah. Well, there's some things that we've learned. Abdullahi, I would have thought that he would have been in this squad today.
I did as
weird.
Well. I was expecting.
There could be reasons to that as well. It could be that maybe they wanted him, I don't know, around that group of players for a certain reason, to be the lead figure of that.
But you would assume he'd be a candidate to go out on loan, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and it could be that. And I think we've learned, obviously, about Patterson.
I think what we've learned is that he rates Ogunsui higher than Abdullahi.
Yeah.
Which we didn't necessarily know before.
No, well,
today.
The presumption would have been that Abdullahi would have been.
Well, because you spent £3 million in him or whatever.
Yeah, you would think. In the Championship, that's that's a huge.
I mean, a shout out as well for Jensen Jones at right back, who I thought did pretty well. Ben Kinden came on at centre back.
Was it? You're going to be better than me. You will have the squad sheet. But Dinsdale, was he playing on the left and got the assist?
Charlie Dinsdale got the assist.
Yeah, he looked really, really good.
Yeah, he's a decent little player, and I really like Felix Scott off the right hand side as well. I mean, these kids are 17, 18.
Yeah.
It's a tough environment for them to come into. Obviously, York are all senior professionals. But yeah, lots learned, but nothing really definitive, I would say.
No, I think that the main thing for me is that first half, I thought the defence looked good. I thought, you're looking at Ronaldo, Mukiele, Luke O'Nine and Trey Hugh. I've got them in the wrong positions there, but you know what I mean. That back four, though, all looked really solid. And I think that they all look pretty sharp. And sometimes you get these pre-season games and it's not quite crisp, and I've seen something lose at Hartlepool.
Oh yeah, they looked really good.
Game.
But that's the thing that's the double-edged sword with pre-season. It's they looked all really sharp and crisp, but you're well, it's League Two York, and I know, but it's still a game of football, and you don't want to overdo it, but also they did look good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've seen, as you say, Sunderland not look good in pre-season games before.
It's no difference.
And it makes absolutely no bearing on how the first game of the season against Ipswich goes. But I thought it was a decent performance. I'm particularly impressed with the second half where the kids kept it respectable, obviously made it 1-1. Thought that was great. Yeah, on to the next one, I would say.
Yeah. So what we've got coming up, we're going away to America. Well, we're not going away to America.
No, we're not. Yeah, no. Unless you want to start watching this video a lot and subscribing a lot, we are not going to America.
No, we are definitely not. But the club are going over to America. I presume that happens early next week, would be my guess. Be interested to see if any of the World Cup players go. I think we'll probably TBC on that.
Actually, big story as well. Ballard not involved.
Oh, I forgot, yeah.
Yeah, Dan Ballard not involved, which is a little bit of a blow. I'm presuming Phil's going to ask Le Bris.
That's so funny. That never even crossed my mind.
Yeah, Dan Ballard not involved. There's another one that's probably...
Ballard, though, ended last season with it. Do you remember?
Yes, no, that's what I mean, but he's clearly not fully recovered to not even play a part.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan Ballard's a bit of a special case because he, as I understand it, he's sort of on his own training regime at all times because his physicality is so different. You don't want to just run the legs off him. But if he's not ready yet, then that is interesting. Sunderland want to sign a centre-back in the summer. Sealt's kicking around. I thought he looked okay. There's a lot still to be decided.
Tackle.
He did, it was a really good recovery.
He made it was a Jed Spence. If anyone's not seen it, it was a Jed Spence style.
I was sat next to Daniel Wales, and he said exactly the same thing.
That's exactly what it was. Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else to
No,
discuss.
and we've just reached 10 minutes there,
So
so
that's
we've done
perfect. Right. Thanks everyone for watching the Disco Pants. Check out all James' stuff at the Echo. Check out all the stuff on my channel as well. And yeah, we'll be back next week to do more videos, I'm sure. So we'll see you then.